Well then, hello there, my friends. What is going on today? We are going to be having the watch party. It is Mini Stravaganza Day 3, the final day, first panel of the final day, the last day of the first day of the rest of your life. Starts now! Cue theme music. Alright, anyway, that's enough of that. We are going to be talking a lot of Legion because we've got a big panel coming up. They're going to be talking about the future of Star Wars Legion. Make sure you share this out on all of your different social media outlets if you would like. We're going to be doing some giveaways. If we can get up to 300 viewers today, we will double the giveaway. So if you guys didn't already know, I got lots of giveaways out there. I'm going to share this out on my social media platforms and stuff like that real quick. So we're going to get that going because I want to hear some of your predictions. I have some interesting predictions based on how the other games' directions have gone. And it's also important to, like, no matter what they say, we got to try to, like, stay reasonable, stay relaxed, stay cool. Because there's a lot of Legion featured this whole time, right? There's a lot of Legion featured this whole panel, which is really good. They really care about Legion. They're really trying to invest into Legion's future. And so that's a good thing. They may announce, based on kind of how other games have gotten stuff, they may announce some things that maybe you don't agree with, or maybe you're concerned about. So that's cause for concern. And it's okay to be concerned, or even cautious, or unsure, or even worried. But if they do announce some sweeping changes or whatever, it's going to be easier to, like, wait a day or two before reacting. I probably won't do that. I'm going to probably react initially. But for most of us, it's going to be like one of those things like, wow, I got to think on this. Is this really going to change everything, or is this all going to be okay? That's kind of where it comes into. Alright, I'm sharing this on Facebook, and I'm going to put it up in my Discord, and then in Twitter, and all that other stuff too. Just want to get the word out, because also some people might not know that this is starting or whatever, and want to do it. Woo! We have final day, man. Final day of Mini Stravaganza. How many of you guys have been watching along? I know I didn't stream the last painting panel last night. I went to go see Shang-Chi, and it was good. It was really good, actually. I very much liked that movie. But I was kind of, I think, a little burnt out on gaming news for the day, and I'm like, I need to get away, especially since, like, the painting stream. Now there's 3 painting streams today. I'm going to cover, 2 more painting streams today. So there's that. But yeah, more painting streams today. Where they're doing droids, and so I wonder if part of today's thing is they're going to announce some new droids to paint. I don't know if it's going to be B1 battle droids. I already made my thumbnail for it. I've got a picture of a B1 on the thumbnail, so if you see that come up later, that's the other stream. And then they're doing Maul later on, and that will probably be this Maul. So yeah. All right, so let me get to some of the chat. We're going to talk about some of our predictions. Also, what is our giveaway today? We're going to do another Jyn Erso giveaway today. During the stream, I'll announce this probably after the panel. But we're going to be doing the Trust Goes Both Ways stream for the Jyn Erso card. That's going to also go into Discord a little bit later as well. So let's see, what do we got here? And by the way, if you're wanting to watch the AMG stream, you are in a good place to do that. We're going to switch over. We'll be switching over. They have about 20 minutes until that stream starts. So we'll be switching over, and I'll be killing my mic. You'll be able to hear them, and we'll watch along. We can react, and then after it's over, we'll do all of that good stuff. And the cool thing about watching here is if you want to be able to pause, that's one more reason you can watch here. You can watch in both places if you want. But like here is a good one. If you miss something or if you need to rewind or whatever, you can kind of do that in YouTube, where you can't really do that on Twitch. So maybe Twitch will adjust that at some point. So, all right, let's see. We've got a lot of people in chat hanging out with us today. So we got some interesting questions. Do you see the potential for doing the First Order and Resistance in Legion? Yeah, definitely. But maybe not right now. I think that's definitely a someday type of question. I think I would probably rather have, like, the problem is the First Order, I think, has a lot of stuff. The Resistance has less. And then you did have a show like Star Wars Resistance that expounded on it a little bit. But I think until the Mandalorian and the Disney Plus shows kind of, like with the current era, which is like in between the Galactic Civil War and the sequel trilogy, until that in between area kind of progresses and takes us storytelling wise into the Resistance time frame, I don't think we're going to have enough content to fill out the Resistance. If you guys follow the Fifth Trooper, they used to do like multiple. They did Notorious Scoundrels and the Fifth Trooper podcast. I think they're just doing Notorious Scoundrels right now. But my buddy Jay Shalansky once said that he thought that they should just make the Resistance heroes part of the Rebellion and then make the First Order their own expansion. And I agree with that sentiment. I think that's a cool way to go, and it would be kind of outside of the box. But that would, because the First Order clearly has like legions of specific functioned army, a standing army, right? So they obviously make sense. But for the Resistance, you only really see like the ground troopers in Episode 8, and I mean maybe a few in 9, right? But like it's like you don't really get you don't get the idea that they have an army at all. You get the idea that they're like the entire Resistance fit on board the Millennium Falcon, right? So how are you going to make a whole army and legion out of them? You just have so little. It doesn't feel genuine, and it would feel really contrived. It makes a little more sense for games like X-Wing, where they have a lot more of a navy and a fleet than they do ground troopers. So I think it'd be better just to take some of those heroes, because that's the most notable thing about the Resistance is they're heroes. So I think you could put those heroes into the Rebellion, or maybe you do them and they're just a heroes faction, right? Like maybe they have special rules where they don't require 3 corps, they can have more commanders and operatives. Maybe they can have unlimited commanders and operatives. Wouldn't that be cool? But that's a little bit of speculation. Let's get into today's news. We've got big news for Legion coming out today. They're going to be talking a little bit more, presumably about the new Scum stuff. We should get hopefully a unit card or a little more details on that. Also, the errata and points stuff is coming later towards the end of the month, but I expect they'll talk a little bit more about the specifics of the errata. I'm curious if Darth Vader is the only character that has been changed. So there's a lot. There's a lot of potential. I would love to see Boba Fett get changed, Han Solo, Chewbacca get changed. There's a lot of little things like that I wouldn't mind seeing get adjustments. But then again, maybe they'll just plunge a dagger into my heart and make Pathfinders even cheaper. Maybe they'll just plunge that dagger directly in between the ribs and then like right up in there, and then watch me slowly bleed out on the pavement. If Sean is in chat, he'll laugh at that. But yeah, no. So we've got some interesting potential. So here's the big thing that I want to talk about, right? The future of Legion, beyond the stuff that we've seen already, because all this scum and villainy stuff, this Shadow Collective, this is all Luke Eddy's final wave, right? So this was all worked on under FFG. I believe, from what I can gather and what I've been told, it was probably about 90% done under FFG, and then like the finishing touches and stuff like that were done under AMG, thereabouts, right? So it was kind of like this transitionary kind of wave. This one will definitely say AMG on the box, though. So that's one thing that you can expect. However, this wasn't like AMG didn't design this one from the ground up. This is still Luke Eddy's wave. And there's still more to this wave than we've seen also. So I'm curious how much they're going to show us. But they should also talk about the future, like beyond this wave, and that's one of the things that I'm really, really worried about. Worried is maybe the wrong word, but concerned, right? And I think we should all kind of sit up and brace ourselves for possible big changes. For example, X-Wing just got some really big changes, and and I will be doing kind of breakdown summary videos for each of the different games as to what they got. Armada's video is going to be a really short one because, you know, there wasn't, they didn't really, I mean, they did mention Armada at least in passing, so that's good, but I mean, there's always going to be stuff to talk about with Armada, because I'm actually glad they're not doing anything with Armada right now. But yeah, so what is going to be their future of Legion? So if we look at games like X-Wing, they're making some big changes to X-Wing. One of the it's some big changes to like organized play, or like, you know, official play and tournament level play and things like that. Like they're getting rid of the bid system, so you won't bid for first player or a blue player. Maybe they'll do that in Legion. It seems reasonable that you could do the same thing, you know, to both games. But wouldn't that change a lot of? I mean, I don't think that would be as big of a deal in an 800-point game removing a bid versus in a 200-point game, because you could do some real grief in X-Wing if you bid like 100 points low and then just denied your opponent the ability to score those points and stuff, you know. So like there is like some of that, because X-Wing was more of a points game, but they could still do something like that. They could randomize who's going to be first player, and wouldn't that change a lot of, like, when you build your objectives, like I have to be the red player or I have to be the blue player. Like there is some of that in Legion, so that might be something they announce. They might announce quick builds. That's something that they're trying to do more of in X-Wing. X-Wing has always had quick builds, but they never really caught on. One of the reasons for that, what a quick build is, by the way, is it's a card that might say a unit. Let's say for X-Wing, it'd be like Luke Skywalker in his X-Wing, and the quick build would be like an alternate art version of that card, but it would, in addition to just Luke and his stats, it would also have all the upgrades they recommend you take with him, so you don't have to actually build that part of your squad. You just take a quick build, and maybe everybody grabs 3 quick builds, and they have like points sort of already done on them. And one of the things about quick builds is, because the builds might not be completely optimized, usually you get like a slight discount on some of the things that come in there that might, you know, and there's a lot of pros and cons to that. For one, it doesn't allow you to optimize your squad as much, but for two, it might kind of force you to take some upgrades that you wouldn't have done otherwise. It might allow you to actually exceed the point threshold of the match because of the discounts the quick builds give you, you know, and things like that. So that's kind of what they're doing for X-Wing. What if they did something like that for Legion, right? Like, what if you had like a Darth Vader that had some of the things that you expect him to have, like saber throw, right? But maybe he had something else, right? Like anger, right? Or something like that, like something that maybe he doesn't always take, you know. And so but it was cheap. Maybe you got the anger for free, and you're like, oh, you know, and all right, well, let's run this quick build, right? So something like that. So it makes putting a list together. You just have to grab your unit cards, and they have all the upgrades already printed on them. One of the problems they had in X-Wing originally is those unit cards didn't have the text, so sometimes you need to read what a card does, and that'd be a little tricky also with Legion, because quick builds sometimes you have to exhaust upgrades, and you'd have a harder time doing that. So maybe they'd have to come out with new tokens that say, hey, this is exhausted or something like that. I don't know. It's an option. I think quick builds there's a fun opportunity to explore there, and I think that might be something that AMG will do, because one of the things that is permeated by the X-Wing stuff is that they want the game to be more approachable for new players coming into the game. They want new players coming in to be like, hey, this is kind of cool. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go with either quick builds or something else, like maybe something like Kill Team, right? 40K introduced Kill Team as like this, hey, instead of having to buy a 1,500-point army, you can just buy like one box with like 6 dudes in it, and that's your whole squad, and you're going to do a smaller engagement of squad versus squad, 6 dudes versus 6 dudes. Kind of like Marvel Crisis Protocol, right? And so, like, wouldn't that be more approachable for new players? They just buy, like, hey, you know what? I just want to take some Inquisitors, or maybe I just want a couple of Stormtroopers, or maybe Vader and one squad of Stormtroopers. So, like, even smaller than Skirmish. And maybe instead of just commanding the whole squad of Stormtroopers, you just move each Stormtrooper individually, and then once you get to know them, and maybe you give them names, like this is going to be TK 411, this is going to be TK 555, you know, or whatever, fives. But, you know, so something like that might work. That might be a way to get people into the game on a cheaper budget, and then once they get like maybe 2 or 3 different squads, or I wouldn't even call it Kill Team, I would call it Strike Team, because that's the term they used in on Endor. Han Solo had his Strike Team ready to go down to to Endor to take out the shield bunker. So I think strike team is a cool term. Although I'll be honest with you, if they come up with that, I can't really take much credit because it's in the movie, so it stands to reason that that'd be a great name for a new game or format or a new entry point into Legion. Of course, they already have strike teams in the game now too, so because they're the little, your little sniper teams. All right, so I mean, whatever it is, they may announce some sweeping changes to the future of Star Wars Legion, and even if you're not crazy about those, let's remember to stay calm and always be kind to one another. I know that tensions were high after the Armada news. We've got 10 minutes until the stream starts, by the way. Surge to double crit from Kurt. Kurt says we need Surge to double crit. I'll drink to that. This is just coffee this morning, by the way. But that's a great idea. But yeah, so if you're asking what did you miss, if you just joined up, we're getting ready to go over the. We're gonna just kind of getting ready to watch the stream where they're gonna be talking about the future of Star Wars Legion. We don't really know exactly what they're gonna be covering in today's stream. It's gonna potentially be really, really long. Is it in 3 hours or in 15 minutes? It's in 9 minutes. 9 minutes. And there's multiple streams today. I'm going to be doing watch parties for all of them. The other ones are likely just going to be painting streams, so those will be kind of more like just hangouts. But yeah, we'll do watch parties for all of them. But this is the big one. This is the big one. So if we get up to 300 viewers in chat, we'll double the giveaway. But the giveaway today is, and I'll announce how to get this after the stream is over, so for the second half, but it's going to be a Jyn Erso Trust Goes Both Ways alternate art command con from Gen Con 2019. We actually just did one of the other Jyn Erso command cards yesterday. So I'm curious though. I'm curious what AMG's direction is going to be. I'm curious how they're going to want to approach a lot of this stuff. Let me know, what you guys, is there anything that you hope they do change? Is there any characters you hope get more errata? Like Darth Vader, if you guys missed yesterday, Darth Vader got a lot of changes. We're going to be talking about those in the wrap-up video. That's I don't know if that'll be out tomorrow or Monday or when I'm going to be doing that, because there's a lot of stuff to talk about. And honestly, I'm in this position where there's a lot of news and a lot of things to discuss. Keyforge just got kind of shut down yesterday. That's huge because the algorithm broke. They can't make names anymore, and I guess they laid off the people who made the names, and now those people won't come back unless they pay them a lot of money or something crazy like that. I don't know. They're like, all right, well, we don't have the people to do it right now. Maybe someday. I don't know. But yeah, that's what happens when you lay everybody off, and then you're like, oh, wait, hold on a second. I really wish we didn't have to deal with layoffs in the gaming industry as often as we do. It stinks, But yeah, so Keyforge just got they're getting that shut down. FFG is having their big event next week, so Keyforge isn't just dead; it's on hiatus. It definitely sounds like they plan to do more Keyforge. It definitely does. So that's a thing, but they can't do it right now. Basically the computer that makes the random names broke, and they don't have somebody to fix it right now. So they got to find either another way to come up with randomized names, or somehow convince the people who originally did it to come back and help fix it. That's kind of where it's at. So yeah, Keyforge is dead. I don't know about that. I don't think it's dead because card games that sell well are generally cheap to produce, and I think they really like Keyforge. Now, problem is there's a lot of people that went into creating Keyforge that are no longer there. We are about 6 minutes out from the stream starting, by the way, so if you are just tuning in, you want to hear some about the future of Legion, this is the right place to go. We're going to be watching the AMG stream. We're going to do a watch along over here. If you need to pause or whatever, since we're on YouTube, you will be able to pause and come back, resume, or if you need to rewind, or if you have to go poop, if you do that on a Twitch stream, you're going to miss everything that happens while you are pooping. So, and sometimes we gotta poop. That's the mantra of the day, is just sometimes everybody poops, but not everyone really lives. I don't know. So yeah, I would love to see them announce some more stuff beyond the things that they just showed in that little video. But I have a feeling they won't. I have a feeling they'll like because we don't even have the Kashyyyk wave out yet. You know, so like I'm like, wow, why are they kind of like this was supposed to be like their ace in the hole is like that final 8 wave from Luke Eddy, and I can imagine them just using mini Stravaganza as an opportunity to kind of showcase the rest of the spoilers from the Kashyyyk wave. I thought that was what we might have gotten, but they've kind of really said, hey, boom, 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 here's all this scum stuff. So we're going to get a lot more information on the scum, and well, hopefully. We're counting on getting more information on the scum and villainy wave. We're counting on getting more information on errata and points updates, which the errata and points updates should be coming at the end of the month. We're planning on getting some ideas on the future of the game. Now that Luke Eddy is gone and John Schaefer are gone, that what is AMG's plan moving forward? I expect there to be some differences of vision, some specific visionary differences, like maybe they want to go more towards skirmish. Like, that would be a bummer for me, because I really like setting up the big battlefields. And, of course, granted, that wouldn't change how I play, right? So, but yeah, so, like, and I think that's an important thing to keep in mind is just, like, I know some of us really, really love these games. I really love Legion. And if they change it too much, that could be really scary, right? So, depending on whatever they announce, it's, you know, and I'm saying this also for my own benefit, too, because, like, look, when the Armada news came out, that they were kind of shelving Armada, or like putting it on hold for right now, that hurt. I was already having a really, really bad day at that point, and when that news came out, it kind of snapped me a little bit, and I, you know, so I understand that, like, difficult news can be difficult to process, and these are emotional times for us as gamers who have a lot of stuff invested in these games. So I'm saying this as just a cautionary tale. Be prepared. They may announce something crazy. You know, they may announce that, like, you don't use order tokens anymore. You just pick what you want to do. And, like, wouldn't that... I mean, I don't think they'll do that. But my point is, like, wouldn't that be a huge change to the fundamentals of the game? Right? Again, I don't think they're going to do that. But my point is, be prepared for really big changes. This way, if they announce smaller changes, it'll seem like water off a duck's back. You know? Because there's got to be some kind of change. You know, I believe that was a big reason why a lot of FFG people are not currently with AMG, is because everything that I've basically been told suggests that there were big, I'll say, visionary differences, you know, hence the organized play team not being there anymore. You know, they're not running tournaments, you know, like AMG's organized play or things like this current, you know, bounty hunter scenario that we've got, you know, like for these games. That's their organized, that's what they think of as organized play, and that's like a big difference from what FFG thinks of as organized play. You know, it's like one company focused on the word organized, another company focused on the word play, right? It's you know, it's kind of like the two different companies have two different approaches. We got a lot of folks. We got over 200 people. We're doing really good in the chat right now. So if you guys are just joining in, we are going to be doing a Jin Urso alternate art promo for the Trust Goes Both Ways command card. We're going to be doing this after the stream. If we get up to 300 viewers, we'll do an extra giveaway on top of that one also. So yeah, so share this out. Let some people know. We can have a watch party. The cool thing about watching here is that you can pause if you need to. If you got to go to the bathroom, you can do that. If you miss something, you need to rewind or whatever, you can do all that stuff with YouTube. Or you can, I mean, and you can, I'm not saying you can't watch on Twitch also. You can watch in both places, whatever you want to do. You know, I'm here for you guys. I know some people either don't use Twitch or prefer not to, and I'm just giving you guys extra options. Plus, sometimes these panels will not show up again for weeks. So this is just a good way to make sure the information is accessible, and I'm just really here for you guys. But I do appreciate you guys all hanging out with me today. We're going to have a good time. We have about 1 more minute. They should be starting momentarily. And, of course, when they do, I'll be turning off the mic, and I'll be switching over to Atomic Mass Games as soon as they are ready to start. We're going to basically switch over. It'll be kind of like that. Right? There we go. They're almost ready. They are almost ready. So yeah, share this out with your friends. Let people know. If we get up to 300, we'll have the extra giveaway. So that'd be pretty cool. No, Legion is definitely not canceled. I know people are going to want to joke, and I'm not going to censor any of you guys. Don't worry about that. But unless of course you're being cruel or disruptive, or like, be kind to one another. That's my main requirement here. Be kind, be nice to people. This is family friendly. Keep it family friendly. Keep it. This is a watch party. Yeah, we're gonna watch. I'll be switching over. We'll be watching it here, and we'll be doing some giveaways. I'll be talking more about the giveaways after, and there's plenty of ways to do that. But yeah, no, Legion's definitely not canceled, because it's important to remember. Legion has a lot of focus this weekend. There's a lot of Legion streams, right? We got 2 more Legion streams today. So give us your best Maul impression. Kenobi! Oh gosh, that kind of hurts. Here they go.
Hello everyone, and welcome to By Any Methods Necessary. I'm Kashyyyk, Director of Product Development for Atomic Mass Games, and I'm joined with my fantastic crewmates here. And go ahead and introduce yourselves. Let's start with Marco.
I'm Marco Segovia, the scoping director here of Atomic Mass Games.
And Preston.
I am Preston Stone. I am an art director in charge of all things Star Wars here at Atomic Mass.
And one Will Pagani. So we're excited to spend top of day three with you all today. We've got a whole lot to talk about. We've got 90 minutes to do it. Our goal here is to talk about upcoming releases, to talk a bit more in depth about the awesome video that you saw on day 1 of Mini Stravaganza. We're going to dive into a bit of that content. If you watched the battle between Pagani and Plumber yesterday, you did get to see some of the new stuff in action. So we're going to be covering those, as well as some brand new stuff that's coming to the game. We're going to talk a little bit about what to expect from the points and balance adjustments that are going to be coming up here in the next several weeks. And then we're going to dive into the future and what you can expect to see from us now that we've taken full control and the helm of Star Wars Legion. So with that, let's just dive right in. This is definitely the first stuff that we want to talk about, which is the kind of the end wave of the Battle of Kashyyyk kind of themed releases, which were started under Fantasy Flight Games and are now in our stewardship to take to release. So everything we're going to show here was done by the amazing development team at Fantasy Flight Games. Preston is a great voice who was working on these things before. And we're just going to take the chance to show some rules, some artwork, talk a little bit about the design process that went behind those, and we'll move forward from there. So with that, I think we have a couple of art assets to go.
That we do.
Yeah, this is art by the wonderful J.B. Kashyyyk, and shows off the ISP and one of its alternate weapon upgrades. This is the missile pod. We actually have an interesting thing to show you. If we can go to the next thing. Can we show off the concept art?
I think we have the concept art after the actual stat card.
I'll talk about it later.
Yeah, so we've shown this a few times on different social media posts and stuff. I know BK has been kind of teasing this. It's time really now to take a look at the rules, and then we'll talk a little bit about one of the things that makes this such a fun vehicle for Legion, which is you'll see that the only weapon it holds is DC-15 blaster rifles. And that's because, which weapons you equip through the upgrades really make a huge difference in terms of what the infantry support platform is trying to do. So, Pagani, why don't you walk us through some of the highlights of this New Republic Heavy?
Well, I will do that if my mic is working, but
I
I'm
can
not
hear
sure
you.
that it is.
Tony gives
You
a thumb
can
up
hear me.
that you can. I think the
Everybody
chat
can hear me.
I can hear you, man.
might say so.
Chat, how we doing?
We're good. We've got
Loud
the
and
thumbs
clear.
up.
Brilliant. Fantastic. All right, so we've got the infantry support platform here. This is a zippy little guy. At speed 3, it's got hover ground, so it can move over terrain and things like that very, very easily. Armor 3 makes it really durable, especially compared to like a bark speeder. And then it's got this great slew of weapons that we're going to talk about here in a moment. But I'm a big fan of this guy for getting around the table, pushing positions, and really being very maneuverable. It is my favorite part of the infantry support platform here.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and so now I think we're ready to look at the concepts. Again,
Hooray.
like we talked
Yeah.
about, what really defines
I
this
can do
vehicle are the weapons. And Preston, there's some really awesome stories behind how several of these upgrades came into being.
Yeah, so I wanted to highlight the missile pod. We saw the art of it earlier. This is the final version that we ended up with, but we had several before that. We were trying to establish, what does this thing look like? What do we want the other upgrade to look like that we were creating? So we had a bunch of different options. I think the through line to all of these is that they were way too bulky for the ship. So, we imagined them like on this craft, and it wasn't working out. It was really cool. Some of these were inspired by real world designs, some of them from other Star Wars things. Ultimately, we're aiming for, does it feel like it belongs in Star Wars? And then we had to work with the licensor to establish, like, yeah, this really does look like something that comes from Star Wars. So we ended up with the one that we see. It's a little bit sleeker. It has that boxier feel. Yeah, we ended up with, I think, a pretty cool design. Feels right for the ISP.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the missile pods specifically are a brand new design. Like, they didn't exist
Oh,
in
yeah.
Star Wars. So
Yeah,
that was from the ground up, right?
That, and there is a beam weapon as well that we designed from the ground up. We did the concept art for it, and we were just aiming for something that really felt like it belonged in Star Wars and felt like other designs that we had seen before, firing missiles. So yeah.
Nice. All right, well, let's take a look at how that concept art and the sculpting work behind it translated into the game rules. I think we have several of the upgrade cards that come with it. You'll see the first one, you can upgrade to 327 Star Corps Elite Armor Pilots. This just makes fire support a little more spicy.
Yeah, fire support is a big part of the Republic Army, and being able to use it with the vehicles and things like that is great, and this just makes it even better. It shows the sort of elite training of these pilots working with their regular troopers. So I'm a big fan of that one. And then the twin blaster cannons use a concept where you can sort of split your dice pool into 2 and then use Gunslinger to attack 2 different targets, which you will see as a common theme on this vehicle. And I think that's just a really great concept. It allows it to be very flexible. I talked about how I liked this vehicle being able to like flank and get into positions that other things couldn't normally. And I think this kind of upgrade is great for just showing, like, do you need 1 large dice pool? Do you need 2 smaller dice pools? Like, you can really do a lot of different things with this. So it's a very versatile vehicle.
Yeah. And so if we jump to the next ones, Preston did mention that these 2 were designed from the ground up, from concepting on. The twin beam cannons, I have a feel, Preston, were very much inspired by what we see on the LAT transport ships in Episode 2.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, we looked a lot to the LAT, that little disc that comes out the front of the pods that the gunners sit in. Yeah, this was heavily inspired by that, and in fact, I would say one of the reasons we showed off the missile pods is, like, there was no question what we were going to do with the twin beams. It was really about adjusting the size. So.
Excellent. And yeah, once again, these 2 upgrades here give you a lot of versatility in how you want to use your dice pools and things. So it's just a very versatile vehicle, very fast, very pick your option, basically. So
yeah, it certainly fills that role of infantry support platform, because you do kit it out for whatever you need. Do you need armor busting? Do you want to be able to do some high volume of fire? Do you want to, like, go for the gusto and hit those beam cannons and maybe decimate an entire flank if you can get really lucky?
Yeah, and I mean, running multiples is always exciting. So fantastic. Next up, I believe we've got some art for the Persuader tank.
Yeah, this is Francisco Miara, and the cool thing about this piece of art that he did was we never see a factory specifically for the Persuader. We do see it for B1s, I think B2s, several different separatist droids. So what we did for this, we wanted to show the factory for the Persuader, and we pulled from all these different scenes that we see throughout Star Wars of droids being assembled, and so it has that aesthetic. It feels appropriate for droid assembly, and so we get a glimpse at what that must be like for the Persuader.
Yeah, I think
I really
you
love
just
the mood here.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The, like red underlighting is great. Like the blue fog and smoke. Just
Yeah,
so
Francisco did an awesome job, not only imagining a scene, but also adding to the atmosphere, just the feeling that all this like heavy like soot is coming up in while all these droids are being assembled, and it really adds to that sense of depth.
Yeah, the composition,
piece.
that perspective.
Yeah,
Here,
and it's a
that's
really
scary.
creative use of color, like you mentioned. You know, in a real world scene, you might not get that much color, but he found ways to punch it up and still make it feel like it wasn't overly saturated. It feels real.
Sinister. It's still got that evil vibe. You know you're not supposed to be there.
I'm not here for the real world. I'm here for this.
That's right.
I'm excited.
All right, well, let's take a look at what this tank actually does in the game after seeing that amazing piece of art. So walk us through this brand new option for the CIS, Pagani.
Yeah, so the Persuader class tank here is another chunky boy. It's got armor, so it's very durable against non-impact weapons. It does have programmed, and we've seen this before on the spider droids, but I do not believe we've shown all the program cards, and Plummer was playing with one of the new ones yesterday, but I don't think anybody quite picked up on it.
They did. There were a lot of questions about if he was doing AI wrong, even after the sticky
spider
note.
tank. The spider droids were using a different AI than the ones that we have shown previously. And then, of course, this is an open transport, so you can ride around with some B1s on your pontoons. And then this guy brings some chunky dice pools to this as well, especially with his upgrades. He gets some of the same upgrades as the other CIS tank. So, yeah.
All right. What do we have next for? I think we have the AI cards next, right? So
Yeah.
Preston,
Yeah.
talk about. This is the one I believe that BK has shown. So this was the first one, but this is great. Walk us through the art for this.
This is a really interesting piece because we haven't really done anything like an abstract concept in Legion before. Most of what we show is an actual scene. So Andreas Zafaratos did a really good job of all these. We did a set of three. One's aggression, defensiveness, and for speed. And he did a really good job like showing like little. It feels like something that's inside the mind of a droid, and also shows off a little bit of what that might feel like, might look like, just visually. The defensive one is kind of more blocky. It's sort of indicating like plates of armor, and we can look at the other ones in the cards and maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go ahead and just take a quick review of the rules for defense protocols.
Yeah, it gives you AI dodge. So if you remember your AI, you can dodge token. And then you also pick up nimble and outmaneuver. So you become very difficult to damage, basically. And I, for one, am here for the nimble Persuader tank. So I'm excited by that option. And then we do have a couple other AI cards to show here. With which will have some newer art. Engagement protocols was the one that Plummer was using yesterday. And we also have attack protocols for AI aim and precise 2, which can make you very deadly. Lots of rerolls coming out of attack protocols. And then engagement protocols really lets you stay flexible. And remember, you are required to take one of these AI cards.
And if I could make a comment just about the art on these two, the engagement protocols, again, meant to be quick, and we nodded to the hyperspeed like in space for Star Wars, but it's just meant to feel like it has those movement lines, while the attack protocol is just hyper aggressive and just feels like it's angry. Even has like the little eyebrow places.
I love it.
It's really great.
You knocked these out of the park.
Like they're deceivingly simple, but like actually a very complex concept to visualize in 2D.
Fantastic. So that is going to wrap us up on the Persuader tank and the infantry support platform. So why don't we jump in to the promo video that we showed?
I think it's time. So again, these are the last bit of the Kashyyyk wave, which all the development for these, all the artwork and everything was done before we had really taken over. So our big steps here were just getting them to print, getting them across those final production finish lines. The Mercenary stuff that we're going to talk about next, which we pull our title from, that was kind of it's in between. So much of the sculpting and a lot of the visual design had kind of begun initially before the merger, and we were stepping into the process kind of in the midstream and walking it through the rest of the stuff. So it was a fun and interesting transition. I think I'm really proud of kind of how this whole release wave represents that changing over and is kind of our initial step into becoming a brand new AMG with the team and everything else that went on with it. So let's just talk a little bit first about that fantastic artwork that we've seen.
Yeah, so we wanted to show a big scene off of the whole Shadow Collective, and we're going to look at a few sketches by Alex Kim. This one we didn't end up going with. The angle looking upward with Maul looking out made him look like a hero. It looked very heroic. So that wasn't the vibe we were going for. We can go on to the next one. Yeah, so we were getting a little bit closer with this feel, but it didn't feel like a fully cohesive team. And we wanted that feeling of like fielding a team of characters. And this is actually pretty close to what we ended up going with. The only issue here was, again, we had some of the characters kind of not well represented. Like Maul is supposed to be the central focus, but there was a better way to bring all the characters into the center. I like the tilted horizon. And then I think the other thing that we wanted to address was like how massive the army felt. It really, like the Shadow Collective is not that massive, and so we wanted to bring the feeling down of having it be a smaller army or a smaller group. Yeah, and this is just a slightly more finished version of what we saw in that first one. It was cool. I think I asked Alex to go ahead and just render it like the others, so we had a clearer idea of what we were looking at. But again, a little bit too heroic, and we ended up shying away from this. This is really dramatic and cool, though. And then this is the final piece we ended up with. Just a really, really cool look. Added a lot of atmosphere. Less actiony than we see in the core sets, but I think it has a nice dramatic feel to it, with Maul walking up with that dark saber, like he's in charge now, and so yeah, great piece.
Yeah, super fantastic. And of course, as people have kind of been talking about in the chat, this piece of art was not only important just to get the feel for the Mercenaries and the Shadow Collective in general, but also is being used on the product that's going to introduce the Shadow Collective and everything we're going to talk about here in a second to Legion, which is the Shadow Collective starter box. So you're going to see this. It's going to be a great way if you want to jump in full on into the mercenary life with Shadow Collective. You're going to be able to get all of the miniatures to start your collection, and then you can build out appropriately from there. And this is going to be a new direction that we're going to talk about more as we talk about future stuff and everything. But just a fantastic piece to pull everything together. So specifically, let's talk a little bit about the game mechanics of the Mercenaries. And one of the big things that I want to highlight before Pagani kind of takes us through some of this stuff, and we talk about the sculpts and everything that go along with it, is that I mentioned that this was kind of we took over stewardship of this product in the middle of the design phase. And originally, the concept was to create a full-fledged, standalone new faction for the game. But in our discussions with LFL and looking at Legion in general, one of the things that we hit on was the idea of mercenaries in Legion and opening up these characters that we see working for coin or for nefarious purposes or things to a wider group. And what would that do to the game, and what options would that open for players to tell their own narratives within the Star Wars galaxies and all that. And so we transitioned that original idea, that concept of a cohesive, like locked-in faction, like a standard faction, and instead began really exploring the mercenary concepts. And it was very exciting to do. It was well received by LFL. They were very much behind the idea that this really expands the narrative that players can tell with their Legion forces and all that stuff. So from that initial genesis and the work that was done, we were able to really transform it into something that I think is very exciting for the future of Legion, and just makes it feel much more enmeshed and tied into the Star Wars galaxy and the narratives that we see played out, and that we can now, what if on our own tabletops and play out as well. So with all of this said, I think we have the sculpts ready, and Marco, you and your team were instrumental in taking the finished sculpts from the sculptors and pushing them across the finish line from an engineering standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Corey, Bexley, the team, they did an amazing job, like making sure that these were all modular. That's the part of the challenges that we face when we're dealing with something like with a material like hard plastic for these miniatures, is that it's not like a skirmish game where you have just one or two characters and you just, you part them. Like this is a war game where you have a unit and you have interchangeable parts that are modular, and so you have to make sure that whatever pose they're in, they can plug into to make another pose, another character, another weapon, another option. And that's where they really excelled and highlight really how different lines can be in between, even within a studio. It could be apples to oranges on how those processes are. And at the end of the day, I think the product sells on its own merit.
And one of the big things about this unit, you'll notice that there's the really proud looking noble there, a falling noble. And this is a product in a unit set where you do get, kind of like the Wookiee warriors, you do get the core unit, and then you also get the option to either have a commander, which, as we'll talk about the game mechanics, can be kind of important based on how you want to build your force and how much control you want over it.
Very relevant.
Or you can use that commander as a personnel upgrade. And I believe that there are a couple of options when it comes to the head stylings, the hair stylings, the fin stylings, if you will, on that character.
I mean, it gives life to these characters, given that, for the most part, we always know these syndicates from the Hutts, and it's great that we get to explore what the shows have explored, and we've seen them in other various media, and so it's awesome that we get to give our community just the ability to customize their miniatures in this way.
And I know the next sculpts we're going to show, these made Michael Plummer, one of our game developers, squee with joy, because he only cares about Mandalorians if he can do it.
Of course he does.
And so we have the Mandalorian Super Commandos. And just talk us through a little bit about the sculpts on these. Preston, I know you did some work on the concepting for the poses and stuff, so if you have anything to add to any of this stuff and the process that was there when these were being sculpted, please do.
This whole batch of characters, we were really just trying to push our poses to a little bit more of an actiony feel. I think there was something special about the Mandalorian Super Commandos, and just they needed to feel awesome and epic. I mean, this guy like double pistols out, flying backwards. You see that in the Clone Wars. We wanted to bring that into the mini. You'll even see it in one of our art pieces. So yeah.
This is a classic pose, the Mandalorian pose. You see it, and it's just, that's cool to see it on the table too. And also, it just really brought a challenge to the team as well, right? To get a flying pose that will also, like I said before, that is modular with other pieces that are flying, and you swap them out, making sure that they fit properly and they're easy to put together, and also still be in line with to give a dynamic pose to these characters.
Yeah, and I think everything came together to make a really great. They look like exactly like we see in season 7 and from the Clone Wars when they're the entourage of Maul. And these are definitely the specific retinue that Maul has around him when he's ruling Mandalore and the Shadow Collective, and super fun to play with on the table as well. And then I believe that we are on to the Pike Syndicate next. Is that right, Pagani? You have the list.
No, we are on to the Maul render.
Oh, the Maul, yes.
We'll get into the Pike stuff when we
this
talk
makes
about
sense. So eagle-eyed observers will notice that this is not the Maul that they saw in the video.
No, it is not.
And there's an important reason for that, because you can build Maul one of two ways. So you can absolutely do him with the Darksaber and the single Sith Saber, or you can have him with his standard and classic double-bladed saber. And I don't want to spoil too much because there's BK has a lot of exciting things planned for everything. But if you're a stickler, how you equip him in terms of which weapon loadout you give him does actually change his role in the game. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah, that's how far we'll go. But talk a little bit about that, because you did have to, again, this is another one where it's like same pose. And I know, Preston, you had a hand in concepting this as well. But same pose, but very different feel once you load him out in different ways. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely at least took advantage when we were 3D prototyping him to give him both the Darksaber and the double-bladed, because he
got it.
I mean, give him all the weapon, and it looks cool. So I wanted to see that.
Yeah.
And you do have that option when you do get this miniature, but yeah, definitely, Preston, especially when we were adjusting these poses and going back and forth with this, for you guys on your end in the art, what really was the inspiration to put Maul as a charging figure versus the intimidation pose that he usually exhibited?
He does a lot of actiony stuff in season 7. A lot of fighting. I think that it's that aggressive part of his character, and we had already done the more statuesque Maul. So this basically gives a player an option to do something more fun and more interesting, do something different. So you can do either Maul now. A really cool detail on this one that I liked personally was the Mandalorian, the throne room has all these cool stained glass pieces, and things are just destroyed at the end of season 7, and we wanted to show a little chunk of this stained glass on the ground that he's leaping off of. So we wanted to imagine him fighting Ahsoka basically, in this arc, or in this mini. Yeah. So
that's such a good scene.
Yeah, I'm really happy with this mini. Very excited to paint this up as maybe my second attempt at a paint job.
Yeah, and Corey, he went put in so much work in to make sure that Maul face came through again, even better, with a sharper expression, more detail, and as well as making sure it was in line with what the character looked like, and also in line with the Legion style. And so definitely it was a huge undertaking and many iterations, but ultimately we got there, and it looked great.
Cool. All right, well, I think now we're on to the stars of yesterday's battle report. Maybe, I don't know. Darth Vader also got quite a bit of, and we're going to talk about that too, I promise.
Yes.
But the very first game played with mercenaries included in the army selection and construction was with these Pike Syndicate foot soldiers, and they were played in the CIS army that Plummer played with. And I've made sure that he took his AI sticky note with him if you were watching that game. So he's now required at every game he plays with droids to have that with him.
Maybe even without droids, who knows?
Maybe, yeah, we're just going to make sure it's always there. We're just going to slap it on him. Preston, tell us about this art.
So I never skip an opportunity to show off Darren Tan art. He's just one of our greatest artists. A joy to work with. And like so many of the artists in this set, finds a way to more realistically depict what we see in the Clone Wars. And we got several great examples of that with the Pike and the Black Sun in this grouping of products in particular. And we had a cool opportunity that the pistol they're holding we'll show a little bit later. We also did some concept art with that.
All right. Well, shall we take a look at the actual rules cards for these fine mercenaries?
No, I think we need to look at the miniatures.
Oh yeah, we do.
Ooh.
Sorry, I'm
How
cutting you off.
dare
Michael.
you.
I
You get so
apologize.
excited.
The
I
guest-
like
so
how
excited.
I'm out.
It's gonna look really weird because we keep talking to each other because we're in
We're
the
like
same room,
really next
but
to
we're
each other.
completely separated here. I'm sure that Alyssa, one of the great people that's been working with us to make this event go great, is just screaming at her screen
Stop
right now.
looking.
Stop looking at each other.
Stop it.
They don't know you're in the same room, but we are. See, I can put my hand over here.
The immersion chick, it's ruined. It's ruined.
But unfortunately, Preston's not here, so.
Okay, so let's talk about the sculpts.
The sculpts, the Pike Syndicate, again, like, this was to show off another syndicate to expand on the world of Star Wars, which is super exciting because we've seen them in other media, as I said. And then it's also daunting given that we've seen them also, like, in live action, if we remember in the Han Solo film. Like, getting the right details, making sure that we can compromise on the style that can be workable within our production line and our production process, and also fit in our war game and the Legion style. And definitely, I think our team knocked it out of the park in making sure that these poses are dynamic, they give options, and they're swappable and easy to put together and just a joy to paint.
I think that whip pose is like one of my favorite poses.
Yeah.
ever.
Absolutely.
Looks
Yeah,
so
So
great.
good.
I just the weight of it is fantastic.
Yeah,
I
and
also love the capo. He's like plotting and he's like, "Go, my minions."
steepled fingers are the best fingers all the time. And if you missed Dallas painting these on day one of Mini Stravaganza and you want to see the actual sculpts and what they look like and see his fantastic paint job and watch his process, that video is still up, so you can go view it on Twitch. It'll go up on YouTube. But yeah, I mean, out of everything in this wave, these are the ones that I can't wait to paint a million of because they're just so weird and cool that like I'm just imagining an entire like swarm of these like strange pike alien foot soldiers just running at you. Yeah. And Baton Guy is there. He's there for business.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are hardcore. Like, they're the ones who assassinated Cypher Diaz. Like, they have history.
They're ready to go. And the rifle. So you have two heavy weapon options in this. You have the whip, you have the rifle, and as Preston mentioned, the rifle is actually a brand new design, and I think we have concept art of that.
Yeah. So we only see ever that little pistol that they're holding. You can see that off the right side. And we wanted a heavier option. So this is just a look at sort of our process of making a new weapon. And again, this is our own design. Obviously, we're taking from those little design elements that we see on their normal blaster. We have those little pad trigger things. We thought that was really important since their hands are what they are. And we just wanted something really cool. The final design has more of this figure eight thing going on in it, just to make it feel a little bit more alien. We like that aspect of it, so we were really pushing the geometry of this to fit into something that felt like their blaster, but also felt unique and felt a little bit alien and not like a normal blaster that anyone could have.
Just uniquely designed the physiology of like the race, right? And
the shapes that they're playing with that fits the contours to their hand and not one that you see conventionally.
Yeah, I love it. I think, again, such great work and just very cool that, you get the opportunity to add to the Star Wars galaxy and really explore into the nooks and crannies in between the panels that aren't there.
Sure.
And I think you did a fantastic job on this stuff.
Absolutely.
So, okay, I think now I can stop teasing people and we can show them the card maybe. I'm trying, people. I'm trying, but they're keeping
like,
me to
move
the
it
schedule.
along.
I know.
There it is.
I know, they're doing really good. You will notice that due to Imperial ISB sources, there's a bit of a redacted square on here. So we're not going to tell you yet everybody that the Mercenaries can work for. We're going to save some secrets. A studio's got to keep some secrets just for the fun and the future. But
and no point costs.
And no point costs. That's true.
Because
Those are
we're
also
very mean.
Redacted, yes. But that said, so this is the unit that Plumber was using yesterday in the CIS. Talk about the mechanics a little bit. My favorite one, obviously, that I think we'll spend the most time on is Independent, but walk us through this, Pagani.
So the Imperial Redacted box caught a little bit of Danger Sense up in the corner of this guy here, but that is Danger Sense 2, and they have outmaneuver, so they can, of course, spin dodges to cancel critical results. They have self-preservation, because they're not really interested in dying today. They're more here for the money, so they're just like, piece them out if they get a bunch of suppression. And they have independent dodge, and independent dodge is really exciting for... Independent is a keyword that's going to show up a lot in these mercenary units. And sort of the theme of the mercenaries, right, is they're here to work for you, but they're not necessarily going to do exactly what you tell them. So most commanders cannot issue orders to mercenary units unless they have an upgrade card, which we talked about that Plumber had yesterday, that gives you allies of convenience. Oh, that might be the keyword that it gives you. Anyways, the upgrade is, it's Underworld Connections is the upgrade card, and it gives you the keyword Allies of Convenience, which lets you issue orders to mercenary units. As a normal commander, or of course you can take the capos or the other different various mercenary commanders which can order around their own troops. There are different affiliations of mercenaries. So there's Pike, there's Black Sun, there may be more. And they can only issue orders to their own factions, mini-factions, affiliations. So if you want to play Black Suns, you need a Black Sun capo. If you want to issue orders, if you want to play Pikes, you need the Pikes. But this independent is really cool because normally if you take this unit, you can't give them orders. So that is unfortunate, but independent gives you that benefit. And then, of course, they use dodges a little bit better than other normal units because of outmaneuver. So I really like that sort of playing with the, you can't do this, but maybe you don't want to, that kind of thing going on. And that's, I don't know, I think that's a really cool design and a really great direction to take these things.
Yeah, it was very fun, and I think, a really great way to, like you mentioned, showcase the fact that these are hired, right? Mercenaries are hired. They're not there. They're not part of the organization or the structure. So even when Darth Vader's yelling at you to do something, you might not do it. I mean, you're a fool, but you might not do it. Like there's pride on the line here, so we're going to keep that. And as you mentioned too, Pagani, like along with which factions they work for, which is redacted, there's also an icon which attaches them to a specific group or affiliation. So, for example, the Pikes all share a certain icon, and the capo, as a commander, can only issue orders to members of his affiliation. So he can't go around ordering Black Suns, even if they're on the same table or in the same army.
And we will see that symbol here in a moment when we look at the capo card in a couple slides here. So you'll get a glimpse.
So all of this stuff it adds a whole new layer to army construction and building, maximizing these different options, and it makes for a really fun and a very thematic sense that when you play with mercenaries, you're playing with mercenaries. So let's jump to, I think the capo card is next, or do we have? We have the actual unit upgrades here for the heavies. So we talked a little bit about the rifle, and this is the rifle in all of its artistic glory. So Preston, if you want to walk us through some of the art choices here, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think some of the main things were the raised shoulder, the weird grip. I said that it had like a weird kind of figure eight thing. Can't see it very well from this angle, but obviously it ended up with the two pads for their fingers. And then we pushed the scope forward just because it felt appropriate for the character's head and also felt weird. And if you ever looked at a Star Wars blaster, the scope placement always just feels a little bit weird. And it's great. It makes it wonderful. Like that's the aesthetic. So this just fit,
Yeah, then we've got the Electro Whip Soldier as well. It's got immobilize and suppressive. So you can really kind of tailor this unit to be what you need it to be. Do you want it to be sort of a more ranged unit? You can take a Disruptive Soldier. You want it to be sort of a more Shock Trooper style unit? You can take an Electro Whip Soldier.
I should mention both these art pieces by Marius Gonzel.
Okay, so now I think we're ready for the capo card.
Now it is capo time.
It's not ready for capo card because now we're on this. So this is the personnel upgrades. You can see that you can take the capo as a personnel upgrade. He also has a new. Oh no, we're just going like day 3. Like it doesn't matter. No, we're all good.
So this is the stat card for the Pike Syndicate Capo, which, spoiler alert, you can also take as a personnel upgrade in a unit. The redacted box, once again, clipping into our text a tiny bit here, that is the rule called aid, and then it has the Pike Syndicate symbol that we talked about just a tiny bit earlier. So he can aid Pike Syndicate units to give that benefit here. He can pass on his tokens, essentially. He's got Danger Sense, once again. He's not here to die today. He's here to hide and live, and no money is worth your life. And then he has Independent Dodge, just like his normal unit. So.
Okay.
Now
we'll come here to so just like with the Black Suns unit that we looked at earlier, you can take the leader, so the Vigo for the Black Suns or the Capo for the Pike Syndicate, as a commander option, or you can attach them as a personnel option through this upgrade card and gain some pretty solid benefits if you do so for both the Capo and the Vigo, and we can see the Capo here. So Pagani, if you want to kind of like walk through, and there is a new, there's the cash. I was going to say Kashyyyk, which would have just made me sound stupid, and then I said it.
Well,
anyway.
here we are.
Here we are. Look, here's my hand. Focus on that.
We'll edit in post.
I really wish if I reached down, my arm would go in front of Pagani's hand, and then everyone would be like, "Are they Hollywood Squaresing it? What's happening right now?" There you go.
God.
There you go. Okay,
Kevin,
so anyway.
now's your time. Kevin says no.
Kevin's no fun.
Yeah, so I like the idea of the Pike Syndicate Foot Soldier not just being an extra guy, right? Like it actually gives you something like a benefit for just it's more than just another dude in the unit, right? It gives you that cash aim, which kind of gives you an aim token that you can use later whenever you kind of need it. And I think that's a really cool idea. And you're going to see a lot more cash coming up in a lot of these mercenary units. And then, of course, the Capo gives them Independent Surge. So if you just want to take one unit of Pikes and you're not really interested in issuing them orders, you can stick the Capo in there for a much lower point cost than taking them as a commander, or maybe you're using all your commander slots. And you can pick up that Independent Surge, which just makes the unit operate a little bit better without orders. So I like the sort of flexibility these two things bring.
The chat is asking if you can use both independent options, Pagani. Do you want to comment on that?
Yes.
I'm not. Are you commenting, or is that the answer?
I mean, yes, you can use both. Oh, good point. Yes, I would like to comment, and yes, you can. It is not a choose one. So.
Perfect. It's been a long couple of days, and we have so much more content to go. It's gonna be amazing. I don't know what's next. You have the actual list. I don't know why I keep introducing.
You keep jumping ahead, keeping and now this.
I know, because I'm excited.
And it's not that. So let's talk a little bit about. I guess we talked a little bit about how the mercenaries function in other armies. Let's talk a little bit how they function by themselves. And this is going to get us into a concept called battle forces. And this is sort of the bridge into the future of Star Wars Legion for where we are going. And battle forces are a concept that is ways for players to build armies and build things that do not follow normal army construction rules. So there is a battle force called the Shadow Collective that allows you to play with all of these mercenary options, with the Pikes, with the Black Sun, with the Mandalorian Super Commandos, with Maul. And there are a couple things that have not been spoiled yet.
More secrets.
That are included here as well. And what this battle force does is it gives you a force organization chart that is not necessarily the same as the normal force organization chart. And then it gives you some options that you couldn't normally take. So, for example, I guess I don't know how spoilery we're getting here, Shik.
I'll do it. Are you afraid? I can do it. I can do it right now. So, for example, the Shadow Collected battle force gives you access to Maul, who is not allowed in any other army by the mercenary tag, because he doesn't have a faction icon that goes along with him. And it also allows you to take Mandalorian Super Commandos, which are specifically attached to very specifically the Shadow Collective within the story and the way in which they're portrayed in this iteration of them. So if you take the Shadow Collective, you will gain access to a bunch of different units, and you will gain access to units that are specific to that. Now, that may not always be the case for a battle force, and Pagani can tell you the other benefit that some battle forces have as well.
Yes, some battle forces also have the benefit of special command cards that can only be used in that battle force. They're usually tied thematically to whatever the battle that thematic battle force is tied to. And the first two battle forces, the first two after, which they're not the first two. The first one is the Shadow Collective. The next two, there we go, are themed around the invasion of Hoth. So we will have the Echo-based Defenders and Blizzard Force, I believe they're called, Chick. Can I say that on camera?
Yeah, you did. So I mean, that's where we're at now.
It's too late now.
I know.
Yep. So we're all the way through on that one, and those two will receive special command cards that can only be used in those battle forces.
And we might as well say, following that, and you're going to see all this stuff coming out next year, towards the middle of the year, so quarter 3, quarter 4. Depending on how the pandemic and timelines work, as we've talked about before, a lot of this stuff, even for us, is in flux because the state of the world and the state of shipping and container shortages and everything is all over the place. So we're going to make sure to do our best to get everything out as soon as we possibly can. But a lot of it currently, sadly, is outside of our control. And the best we can do is offer all of our supplications and prayers to the folks who are dealing with the shipping and logistical nightmares of the current situation. But so, as Pagani mentioned, the Rebel and the Imperial ones will be first. You'll be seeing some really cool products that are going to be starter products for that. So, just like with the Shadow Collective, there's going to be an opportunity for brand new players to jump into the game utilizing these smaller subset forces, or if you want to jump over from a faction because you find something really thematic and cool. We really want to add more opportunities for people to get into the game. As we've talked about before, and Simone mentioned in her fantastic opening ceremonies discussion, our goal is not just to see these games survive, but we want them to thrive. I want to retire and hand these amazing games over to the next group of developers and people who are going to work on it. And so we're very focused on not only making a great community strong, but growing that community to be even stronger. And a lot of the things that we'll talk about in the future segment as well are going to be kind of tied around that. But that is our mantra. And part of that is bringing in new players and offering new opportunities to do that. What are going to be the first ones that we'll see for the CIS and for the Republic? There's going to be a 501st one, and there's going to be a droid invasion force that will be coming out as well. And those will also feature brand new command cards that are specific to those forces. We're really excited by this opportunity. It lets us really dive into the thematics and the narrative and do some really fun stuff that allows players to construct forces that are part of the wildest dreams and the stories that they want to tell. So,
but we did get ahead of ourselves a little bit here.
A little bit. We do have to talk. We have to go back to the Mercenaries because there's a couple of characters that, importantly,
are receiving some updates. So there are some notorious mercenaries, perhaps. Notorious? Famous? Depends on who you talk to. But we will be giving some upgraded stat cards with some tweaks where necessary, and utilizing this new mercenary rule set for Boba Fett, Cad Bane, and Bosk. We'll all be getting new stat cards alongside this release. So that's exciting to me because I think those characters are awesome. Cad Bane being my personal favorite.
And of course, they will be mercenaries, so they will function slightly differently in terms of where they can be taken, all of that good stuff. So it was very cool to be able to go back and kind of, with this new mechanic, better represent the bounty hunter characters that were already in the game. And so there will be a card pack that comes along with the Shadow Collective, which will have a bunch of new upgrades in it and stuff, similar to the first card pack. That will include the reprinted new versions of these mercenaries. So if you're wondering how can I get a hold of them in print, that's going to be the way. Otherwise, just like many of the errata cards in the past, they will go into the ROG and update documents, so you can just have them available there as well. But that is something that I was really excited by the possibility of as we kind of dove into this stuff. And yeah, so I think now we're ready to go into points and balance updates.
Yeah, so we've been playtesting a whole bunch of points and balance updates. You saw a couple of those things yesterday in the battle report, the game, whatever, that happened. And we have some Vader changes. There are more erratas and updates and stuff that are coming. I do want to kind of give the disclaimer, I guess, that as we move forward and as we progress through things, errata is not the sort of standard plan for stuff. Errata is something that we always try to do very, very sparingly and only use it when we absolutely need to, especially when it comes to, say, balance concerns or things like that. If a rule is just wrong on a card, we will, of course, errata it to fix the rule and update the wording on it. But when it comes to balance concerns, our goal isn't just to go through and redo everything every 6 months or something. That's absolutely not something that we're interested in doing. So just giving that as a clarification out there. But there are some erratas coming that will change the functionality of some units. We talked a lot about Vader yesterday, gaining compel core units, as well as a command slot. There are some other changes that are coming to certain units. And we focused a lot of this errata and points update on both the Imperial and the Rebel factions, because they're the oldest, they needed some of the most love. So we went through and reevaluated a lot of things in those two factions. Now, that doesn't mean that we didn't hit some things in both CIS and Galactic Republic that needed toning up or down. So there's a lot of stuff coming. I see chat is asking for a lot of confirmation of timelines. I mean, in a perfect world, these would be coming up very soon. We do not live in a perfect world, however. So the goal is to get them done when they're done, right? We don't want to rush this stuff. We don't want to have errors in the documents and things like that. So the hope is maybe this month, maybe next month, but I'm not really willing to commit to a specific time at this point for when those things are going to be coming out. We do have some core rules stuff that we're adjusting. We're streamlining some things. And when I say streamlining, let me be clear. We're clarifying. We're not like overhauling a whole bunch of stuff in the core rules. So don't get too excited out there. There is one big rule change that I wanted to briefly mention that we are playtesting and are very, very happy with so far, which is how the combat cards system works. And we are going to be changing to a system where you reveal all 12 of the combat cards, so all 4 for each of the 3 types. And then players will continue on picking as normal. And that has been really, really great in playtest because it has created a lot more situations where, honestly, the game just feels more balanced and more open.
It's much more difficult to force important issues when you have 4 randomized instead of 3, which is a really big one.
Yeah, so that has been going very, very, very well, and I'm very excited about that one personally. Because if you know me and my likes, I love that like pre-game stuff and like the planning and all that kind of thing, and like picking your scenarios. So that's a big one for me personally. I like that stuff a lot.
Okay, shall we jump into organized play and discuss a little bit about that?
Let's party.
Okay, so let's get the first big thing out of the way. We're fully committed to holding worlds and high-level competitive play. We discussed that when we first took over the merger. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, with shipping and all of our timelines in terms of when products are going to come out, COVID is still a thing. You know, we thought vaccines were going to be the thing. We had a brief moment in July where it seemed like the world might get back to normal, but unfortunately, that just has not been the case. And the top priority for us always, always, always is the health and safety for our great community. These games are amazing, and being together is one of our favorite things in the world, but it's not worth anybody getting sick and potentially even worse things happening. And it's very difficult for us to be able to plan. International travel is a big part of these events, all that stuff. So exactly like we said in the X-Wing panel, we're still committed to doing it. Any invites from previous 2019 qualifiers, 2020 qualifiers, if anything happened during that, we of course will honor when we're set up, and we'll continue to keep in the loop as we figure out more of this stuff. But always our concern is going to be for the health and safety of you all out there. That said, we are excited to kind of dive back into more organized play at the store level. We are going to be at Adepticon and holding both narrative and some competitive play options there. We're working very closely with Adepticon and our team that's going to be going out there. So we will hopefully have more information as we get closer to that. Again, it's a very evolving situation, so we're doing our best to try to figure everything out. And we are totally ready for something to just take a hard left and throw us out of the car. And then we'll run after it and catch back up and jump back in and grab that wheel. So with all that said, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that you can look forward to. The competitive side, obviously very important. One of the things that we, again, are kind of focusing on and looking at is how do we bring more interesting and unique game experiences to Legion, not only to provide refresh opportunities, but also extra value to collections. The base game is obviously super important to everything that is Legion. It is always going to be the standard way to play. But the amazing thing is like you can fall in love with a game again just by a simple twist or some like new take on how to approach and play the game from a list building perspective, from a scenario perspective, things like that. So we have 2 new organized play kits that we're going to be launching sometime next year. The first one is called Unnatural Resources. In this, you're going to get a full new scenario with punch and all that stuff that's going to be yours to keep. So you can play the mission later on with your friends or bring it back out when you want a slightly different experience. Unlike a standard game, you don't use the battle cards to form the scenario. Instead, the scenario is all laid out for you. This one is super fun because there's a roaming Dianoga that terrorizes the battlefield. And so you have to basically secure these resource objectives. And as you're trying to do so, the Dianoga runs around and wreaks havoc. So it becomes very difficult to plan. It's a bit of pandemonium, but it's very fun. There's a chaotic element to it that just makes everything pretty exciting. And then the other one is going to be a support for skirmish play. This is probably one of my favorite ones. It was designed by Michael Plummer. I've never heard more yelling and whooping and hollering before in anything that I've done in the office.
That says a lot.
I know.
That says
a lot. We yell a lot. We yell a lot. It is called Dynamic Exit. It's an asymmetric heist scenario, and I think this is why the yelling starts to happen. Where effectively one player is trying to steal goods and the other player is trying to stop them from stealing said goods. So it is just that moment that we see in almost every Star Wars movie where the heroes, quote unquote, are trying to make their escape with their illicit goods, and the bad guys are trying to stop them. And it's wild. It's very different, super fun. And it really promotes some very different list construction depending on which side you're playing. So again, those are going to be hitting stores as in-store play. We're really excited to be able to offer a new kind of venue in addition to the standard competitive and tournament level stuff, which we'll continue to support as well. But providing more opportunities, more value to everyone's collections. You know, we pour our heart and souls into painting our armies and putting together things, and sometimes your favorite unit isn't the most efficient unit. But it can be the most efficient unit in various modes of play, and that's one of the things that really inspires and drives us forward, because these games are so much more than just what comes out of the core box, and we really want to honor and value that with everything that we do.
Yeah, and moving on from that one, we talked about Vader Down in last mini Stravaganza, and that is still something that we are doing. We are working on systems to be able to play highly narrative, highly, I'm going to say imbalanced, and I don't mean imbalanced as in like unfair. I mean imbalanced as in very different styles of armies, where you could play just Vader against a full or maybe even multiple full armies is kind of how we're leaning at the moment. And that shouldn't be too far away. So keep an eye out for that one.
Okay, and with that, I think we're ready to go into the future.
The future.
So everything we're going to talk about here, to give my standard disclaimer, the timelines that we work on, and we talk about this a lot through all of our mini Stravaganzas, our streams, everything, because we want to be as transparent as possible and help everyone kind of understand the whole process, because there's an amazing magic behind everything, and that's why we love having Preston and Marco here to be able to give us insight on how these amazing games come together. But you're talking about 18 to 24 months in most cases. And that's not counting a global pandemic, which has really messed with a lot of things. So, you know, we felt it was really important at this point to kind of show a glimpse beyond what we would normally feel comfortable showing because of our long timelines, so that everyone can get an idea of like what the vision is, where we're going, to get excited about things, but understand that these things are, you know, a ways away. Late next year to 2023 we're talking about in general for kind of where we're going. And so again, that's my disclaimer. We're super excited to share this stuff, and it's really important that you know when I say these things to you, we're literally working on this stuff right now. And it's hard for me to talk about these things because normally it's been drilled into you to never say anything about what you're working on right now.
Oh yeah.
We talk about things that we worked on a year and a half to 2 years ago. So if I get a little nervous or we stumble a bit here, just know that is why. We're breaking all the rules right now.
Blink
Breaking
twice.
all the conditioning.
So the first thing that we wanted to talk about was, so we showed the mercenaries. This opened up a really cool opportunity. And one of the big things that I know everyone's been chomping at the bit to see more of in the Legion game has been content from The Mandalorian. Well, I'm very happy to say that you can expect that content to be coming. It does utilize similar mechanics to the mercenary stuff. Pagani is actually in playtest with many of it right now. We're going to see the Mandalorian and the Child. We're going to see IG-11. We're going to see some other stuff that's coming as well. Moff Gideon, Dark Troopers, all of those things are in various stages of process. So you can already see I'm like getting super nervous right now. I'm like, I'm waiting for Simone to come across the table.
Like part of me is like, oh, can we say
like, this is kind of killing me here. But I did get approval, so I can't necessarily get in trouble. Now, so all of this stuff is in the works. We're hoping for all that stuff to hit store shelves and be released sometime late next year, so probably Q4. Most of this stuff is really all about, you're going to see, and we do have something that Marco and Preston are going to get to talk about here in a second, because they've been very quiet. That
been waiting.
These are things that we've moved beyond the transition. And so right now, even though I'm starting to go into a cold flop sweat, we're gonna show the very first fully designed and sculpted and developed character for Legion, which is from The Mandalorian. And Marco, do you want to? Preston, Marco, do you want to say it together, like countdown?
Countdown. Well, before that.
Oh, before that. What do we have before that?
We do have what we know can come to love is Swoop bikes.
Oh, that's true. Swoop bikes. We forgot all about Swoop bikes. Yeah.
The Swoop bikes, sir.
I want to talk about these.
Exactly. These are my favorite because ever since the original trilogy, these bikes are just real rad. Like you want to play with these. You want to see these on a table. And Preston, please expand on this because I'm too excited.
So this was really the first big opportunity for us to do character concept art, and we pulled from all different parts of Star Wars. But well, the cool thing is the head options, really cool. We got a Twi'lek, probably a human. There's a helmet on, but that bottom right character is actually from a piece of concept art from, I believe, from episode 1. Mm-hmm. I think. But it was a character that was driving on a swoop bike. So we're pulling from pretty deep cut Star Wars stuff. We were looking at some pretty fun stuff for this, but the swoop bike. Composition, the characters, we worked on concepting all of those and pulling from different areas.
Yeah, there's a lot of little details here and there that you could pick apart on these miniatures, and that do come from film and also from animated features and what you guys design, and also our terrain specialist, sculptor, engineer Bexley, Jeff Anderjack, who's amazing. He does a lot of the vehicle work, especially for Legion, and his mind, how it works and how to make these, design these, and then also make them be easy to customize and build together through his genius design process in his head is incredible. And it's a joy to see his excitement in it. And also when we actually do get the plastics in our hands and put them together, to see the result of his hard work and just how well thought out everything is from the ground up is incredible. And then the next piece is the exciting one.
That's true.
The swoop bikes were exciting. All right.
The swoop bikes were very exciting. Those, just to be clear, those were started a bit before the transition. We did probably the majority of the work on them, and all of the development work was kind of done under that Mercenary guise. But this from start to finish
is Boba Fett from the Mandalorian series.
So this is a brand new version of Boba Fett, as Marcus said, from the Mandalorian series. Going to be part of all of this stuff.
New stack cards, new everything.
New everything. Faction-wise, I can pretty much guarantee you that he's going to go into Rebels. I'll say that. Why not? But yeah, just an amazing job. Preston, I know you did the posing for this, I believe, and worked on some of the art.
I helped anyway.
Yeah, yeah. So talk a little bit about that. Like, what was kind of the inspiration behind like where we went, and all that stuff.
Well, the process of posing, it starts with looking at scenes from your source. So we were looking at a lot of scenes from The Mandalorian, what Boba Fett does in that, what his actions are. We went through a number of pistol poses. He has a really exaggerated, interesting pistol pose, and but I think one of the interesting things about this is the use of the gaffi stick. And I think there's a few iconic things about Boba Fett. Primarily how he looks. His outfit's really cool and iconic. But in The Mandalorian, he's using the gaffi stick, which is sort of a unique part of that version of him. So representing that makes this stand out from other versions of Boba Fett, and it was a cool solution to how do we make this feel like this is the Mandalorian version.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I remember we were going frame by frame in that scene of him beating up those stormtroopers, and it's like that. Like, yeah, he's gonna be doing this pose and doing this exactly, and he does have another head option without his helmet, so that is also like the highlight too. That you get to see the more wise Boba Fett.
So again, really excited and totally terrified of sharing this really behind-the-scenes look with you all, because it is absolutely against protocol.
I look forward to the grilling next week.
I know, it's going to be great. And even beyond that, so we talked a little bit about battle forces, our goal to bring more entry points into the game. Of course, there's a really big thing that's happening in 2023, which is the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. And so, Pagani?
So we're definitely looking at more content involving Return of the Jedi.
I think you're just supposed to say one word. Just say it.
I think it's 2 words, right?
Is it?
Ewoks confirmed?
Oh, it is 2 words, yeah. Yeah.
I think it was Ewoks confirmed, right?
He just wanted you to say Ewoks.
Best Legion unit confirmed?
Yeah. So we're really looking forward. We're working right now on all of that stuff. We have some really amazing content. And we're going to be building out things from the Clone Wars, Rebels, and several other media outlets from Star Wars. So we have a lot of really cool stuff coming, and we're right in the midst of that. The Mercenary mechanics that are being launched with Shadow Collective have become really a door opener to explore some of the different characters in a new way that might not have worked without the Mercenary tag. And of course, we have so many characters yet to go, so many units that we haven't seen yet. I promise you, everyone's favorite character that has been screamed about in this thing. Absolutely, we're right there. So again, timelines are long, but we have tons of ideas and thoughts. We want to dive into campaign products so that players can better tell their stories and rules. We're looking forward to advancing more scenario play and things like that. So we have a whole list of things that we're very excited to dive into. Characters and units, and the Star Wars galaxy is vast and huge, and I think the Legion has really only barely tapped the surface of what's possible, and we just can't wait to explore all of it and more with you and all the new players that we hope to bring in. So to everyone out there, know that we're excited for the future. Hopefully this small glimpse into everything that I should never say in front of a camera has made you excited too. And we're chomping at the bit to let you all see the fruits of this labor and to continue on this amazing journey together in a galaxy far, far away. With that, I will turn it over to the rest of my fellow and amazing crewmates and say any last words before we call this day 3 start a close.
I would never joke about Ewoks. Never.
Smart.
Have you seen those things? They're horrifying.
Marco?
I'm just excited for what's going to come, given that you spoil little things that I'm scared of now, but it is, like you said, just the tip of the iceberg, because there's so much more coming.
I'm disappointed that we didn't show Ewoks. I just wanted to show everything.
I
I'm so excited about Ewoks, you have no idea.
Next time,
Preston did literally just wrap all the poses on them, and they're phenomenal.
I am excited, so excited.
Like after the Wookiee Bombardier and the Ornithopter, Ewoks are my favorite thing in Legion, so I'm super excited for that to come out.
I'll print you out like a little nice mound of Ewoks for you, Preston. So.
Yeah.
We were getting this from Tony right now.
I was telling us to just shut up. He was like,
Tony,
guys.
I've got 20 more minutes left. Well, that's not true. I have like 15 more minutes left if I want to. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Ahsoka confirmed. We will see you on the next one. Please stay with us for an amazing content of day 3.
Well, then, that was a lot. That was a lot. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about, so if you sat with me through the whole time, thank you guys. We are, man, we're all right. So I'm gonna get all the graphics in order. I want to run through everything that they just gave us, because that was a good amount. Here we go. How's this looking? Boom. All right. Let's see if we got all the graphics. Yes, we do. Okay. So, Ahsoka confirmed, right? Yeah, Ewoks. We got a ton. So let's talk about let's talk about the biggest news first, right? AMG is developing new stuff beyond the Fantasy Flight handover, and it's good confirmation, right? I don't think a lot of people really doubted that, but after the Armada news of, oh, by the way, guys, we haven't been doing anything and we're not doing anything, there was probably some concern about Legion, and so it's good to lay that to rest. Ewoks coming for 2023. That's wild. I think that also means that hopefully we will have other of those fun races. Like I've always been a big proponent of seeing Gungans show up in the game. So and then Geonosians probably at some point too. I could not as concerned with Geonosians, but all of that is very good things. That's really exciting. We got a lot of stuff about how the mercenary factions are going to work and how sub-factions are working. So battle forces. Now, I believe this is part of Luke Eddy's and Alex Davies' initial plan to do sub-factions that they talked about at Adepticon years and years ago. And this is kind of what, it sounds like this is what they came up with. Battle forces, which is going to allow you different army compositions and unique command cards. So we're going to talk about all of that. Very, very exciting. All of this is going to go into my wrap-up video also. So if you can't stick around anymore, that's fine. I'll be doing a Legion wrap-up, and it's going to have a lot of information. Let's just run through everything. And, wow, we got a lot of stuff. So first off, they showed us some concept art. And is that a turbo tank in the background? Now, granted, I know that turbo tanks don't, background art isn't always everything, right? We're at 400 viewers, by the way. So if we get up to 500, I will do an ARC Trooper giveaway also. Also, we for the giveaway stuff. So we do have the Trust Goes Both Ways card. Since we did break 300, yeah, we do have a second giveaway. So I've got some X-Wing stuff and some Armada stuff in front of me. I want to hear in the chat if you guys would rather see, and I'm going to keep talking, but I'll come back, if you'd rather see X-Wing promos or Armada promos. And then we'll go from there. So, with that said, let's keep going. We got the infantry support platform unit card finally shown. 65 points for a heavy. This is super, super cheap. Granted, the weapons you give are going to be 40 points each, so keep that in mind. But still, at 105, that's a really good price. A really good price. And we haven't seen every option for this, what comes in here yet. So there may be, some reason to maybe take it by itself. Right? It does have a basic gun. So it's got 7 health, it's got surge to hit, a speed 3, so it's and it's gonna already be kind of that larger base. So I mean, about a snow speeder size base. So it's gonna be a super fast one. It doesn't have it's a repulsor vehicle, but it has got hover ground, so it can go side to side. But this could just be a really good one for like bombing run or something like that. I see a good mix of Armada and X-Wing. Looks like there's a little more for Armada. Okay, so I'm going to start grabbing an Armada promo for this one. Oh, all right. Okay, we'll do. We'll go with an old school Armada one, Nebulon B escort frigate. This is going to be thrown up also on the Discord. So if you guys want any of the other giveaway, like if you guys want a chance to get the Nebulon B or any of the promos that I've been giving away, those are both going to go up on Discord after this stream is over. So congratulations, guys. Lots more opportunities. All you have to do is join the Discord. Go ahead and react to the pictures. You'll have to use a double critical emoji for both of these. And so I'm going to make them separate so you have more chances to win. And those are going to run for a couple more days. And I'll also do, I'm going to do I'm going to do an extra Nebulon B Discord or giveaway to somebody in the chat right now. So I'm just going to pick somebody at random. I'm going to go with Pow, P-A-O, Pow. Congratulations. You're going to win a bonus Nebulon B promo giveaway. There's still one going up on Discord, so if you're not Pow, don't worry. Everybody still can have a chance to win that. So Pow, shoot me an email at mailcrabbok@gmail.com, and I'll get your shipping info. The rest of these are going to go up on Discord, and you'll be able to do that. There's also some other giveaways on Discord and some giveaways on Patreon as well going right now. So there's a lot of that stuff. So, all right, let's keep moving. Infantry support platform, 65 points. We've got our hardpoint, our driver, and our comms, and we got to look at some of those. So we got the 327th Star Corps Elite Armored Pilots. This one is all about fire support, right? And this is kind of what they want you to do with this one. They want this to be a fire support weapon, and I think these are the best two cards for it right here. When attacking, if a friendly unit uses fire support, you gain Surge to crit. You gain it, by the way. So even if you just have like a small, a naked Phase 1, trooper unit, you're still going to gain Surge to crit. Really, really nice. For whatever reason, I like the twin blaster cannons with this because I feel like, and I know mathematically you have one single surge on every die, but I feel like black dice come up with the surge symbol way more than anything else. Maybe it's just mine. I don't know. But yes, so there you go. But yeah, 6 black dice in the twin blaster cannons, 1 to 3. And you gain Gunslinger. When you activate, you may have this weapon's dice and keyword values until the end of your activation. If you do, gain Gunslinger, which is nice. Critical 2, so you don't have to use it with the fire support. You can still just be like, hey, you know what, big shot. There it goes. 40 points. Fixed front. And then you've got the twin missile pods that kind of do the same thing. You can have them. This one has impact, too. So this one doesn't have the critical, but it's got less dice. Then you've got the twin beam cannons, which is 1 to 4. I was hoping that this one would have had the half value because, hey, this is 2 red, so I could just half it and just choose the 2 red, right? But beam is a cool weapon also. But yeah, they're all 40 points, so you can kind of pick your poison. If you want the longer range, you can go with that. I think I'd probably rather have the twin blaster cannons because you're so fast. You might find that range 1, like you don't have to do the compulsory move stuff, but I think 1 to 3, you also have to be in range of your fire support unit, right? So this one just seems like it's the most easy to use because you don't want to end up having that whole 1 to 3, like they're at range 1 and now you can't shoot them because you brought the twin missile pods or something to that effect. But it depends. I mean, sometimes this might be better too, especially if you're kind of going around the side and trying to do some objective shenanigans. So that is it. But but the critical 2 kind of also, if you don't have fire support, and sometimes you won't need that, I think that's kind of one of the things that makes this one real nice. And you know, Gunslinger is also super cool, especially if you're going to do double fire support. And that'll be a fun. I mean, it's fun to do that, but at the same time, you miss out on a ton of activations. So I kind of like doing that if you don't have like a powerhouse unit that needs to go later. Maybe earlier in the game, you want to just bring them down. You want to delete a unit very early, so you get that Z6 with aims. Like the problem is this guy's going to need aims, all right? And so I think that's going to impact. Hey, well, maybe that's what I do with my core, with my comms unit, is I give him an aim token that way, you know, and things like that. So generally, though, I think I kind of rather do fire support from somebody like Rex, who can get this, he can like move and shoot, and he gets the free aim, and then he can also borrow other clones' aims and things like that. But then you're putting your commander in danger. So it's just, there's a lot of different options. It's going to be really fun for list building and for new ways to run a heavy. So that one looks fun. We got the NRN99 Persuader class tank droid. It does have programmed. It's also got it's ordnance and it's comm. I don't know if it's coming with any new ordnance. I think from the spread it just showed like the same three. Like there's only those three ordnance. But look, man, it's got a decent spread. It's got a pretty decent spread, especially if you're at range 1 to 2. You don't even need to put anything on here. All right, impact 1, ion 1, critical 1, both fixed front. All right, you've got a little bit of rainbow going on. 2 red, 3 black, and 3 white. So this is a lot. This is 5, 6, 7, 8. You can get 8 dice off of this thing without giving it any more upgrades. Now, granted, you are paying for that at 145 points. 145 points. That's a lot. And plus, you're gonna have to put a little more on there because you have to give it something with programmed. We got to look at all of the programmed cards now. And it's got Arsenal 2, which of course you need. It's got firm armor and defensive surge with the white dice. So it's not gonna be the easiest thing to kill. It is weak point 1 on the sides, though, and it's going to be using that long Gav-style base. So it's not going to be too hard to get into the side arcs of this, so you're really going to have to use terrain, line-of-sight blocking terrain, to block off your weak side. That's kind of how you drive something like this. It worked for the Gav, and I imagine it will work for this. But the sweet spot here is to be at range 1 to 2. And when you get that close, then you become vulnerable because people can squeeze by you. So you may find you do want a range 1 to 4 weapon. I mean, five dice right here is pretty good, and then maybe on your cooldown turns for cycle, you move in close, fire both of these, kill them, and then move on to the next target. Like, that seems like it's reasonable. You've also got Transport 1 open, and this one will actually be really useful for your B1s to stay on here until you get close enough for somebody trying to get near your sides, and then the B1s get down and then move to the side. It'll be like, all right, got you now, you can't shoot him, ha ha ha. And reposition is going to help too. All right. We got defensive protocols, AI dodge, and it gives you nimble and outmaneuver. This one's going to be really good for some things. I don't know if I'm going to want to have to spend a whole... Well, maybe if I get into the sweet spot for range, you know, like maybe not the first turn, I definitely want him to have an order because I don't want him to AI dodge on the first turn. I want him to get in range first. You know, so then dodge and having to shoot. I mean, I guess, but people probably wouldn't shoot him anyway when he's got the dodge. We've already seen attack protocols. That's a good one. And then we got engagement. Who's on the face of this, by the way? Is that like a robot version of Darth Vader with a little triangle face? I don't know who that one is supposed to be. But we definitely have an HMP gunship here for engagement protocols. So this, I really get the feeling that they are going with like planes, jet planes, and more helicopter type, more spacecraft in this game. More spacecraft, I think, are coming. Bill Johnson says, did we get a Wookiee core unit? No, but we're going to talk about that because I don't think you will need a core unit for Wookiees because of battle groups. We're going to talk about battle groups in a minute. So let's get through this stuff first. Because they kind of answered the answer to how will you run all Wookiees. They sort of answered that now, and I think that's going to be exciting. All right. Engagement protocols as the AI attack move. Nothing special there. And it's more expensive, though, because you have two options. Attack and move are the two things it's good, right? Like, a lot of times you're going to want to move first anyway, so engagement protocols is the most expensive, but the safest because it gives you the most flexibility. But I like attack protocols a lot. And I think that's the one I'll probably take most of the time, primarily because it's cheap. It gives you aim and precise. It works together with itself, and if you're not in range of wanting to shoot, you just make sure you give it an order. and you can mitigate that with something like HQ uplink. So and then of course if you give it an ordnance, you're going to want to recover anyway, so you can recover and shoot, and then until you need to, or if you need to. We got some concept art, and I'm not going to talk too much about the concept art because it kind of builds into, and I was looking at it, I'm like, whoa, are those Fang fighters in the back? And then we get this. Now, I don't think those are all Fang fighters. Those look more like Gauntlet fighters to me. And I think it's pretty clear that they are Gauntlet fighters. As a matter of fact, I don't think it's a matter of what they look like. I think it's, but I mean, it could be some of them. It could be a mix, but I don't think they would show Gauntlet fighters as a prelude to, hey, we're getting a new starter set and it's going to come with a Gauntlet. I don't think we're going to get a Gauntlet fighter. A Gauntlet fighter is like bigger than the Millennium Falcon, so you can't put a Gauntlet fighter into Star Wars Legion. You just cannot do that unless it's like a crashed Gauntlet and that's your battlefield, right? I think you can put a Fang fighter into the game though, and we definitely saw. I mean, they might do like a terrain piece as a Fang fighter. Like I could see that being a thing because we've seen battlefields take place on, like, if you go back to Star Wars Rebels and you look at the episode where they did Sabine and Kanan going to meet with Fen Rao, and the Concord Dawn episode, like you had the airfield with all of those Fang fighters on the ground and stuff, and so they can make for a pretty cool airfield type of battlefield. So maybe they'll do a terrain piece or something like that. Maybe that's something that's kind of in the plan. So I guess we're going to see. We've got a lot of droid gunships. Yes, dude, I think in the chat, I think we're definitely going to be getting a droid gunship. And yes, they do have a stand-up position, and that's one of the things that makes these guys pretty cool. But I think that's, again, more of the Gauntlet fighters had the stand-up. I think the Fangs, I don't remember if the Fangs can go up, but the Fangs definitely spin around. So I'll have to go and watch that episode again with the Concord Dawn stuff and see, hey, is there merit to actually getting a Fang fighter in the game also? But that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. We got a lot of concept art. These are our Black Sun dudes. It looks like we're getting not just a scum. Like scum and villainy is kind of one of the things we're gonna use the term scum as just a term to apply for any of these guys that aren't part of one of the 4 factions right now. But apparently there's multiple new factions, multiple new small kind of alignments, I guess you could say. Black Sun being one of them, right? And we're seeing we've got Black Sun leaders and Black Sun Corps, which is super cool. But we also have Mando leaders and Mando Corps, and the new Darth Maul. Freaking lots of different options here. The neck does look weird here, though, right? And it's just I don't know. It's like I mean, it's a boss sculpt. Like the sculpt is groovy, but the neck just like the angle just looks off, and I don't know. We're gonna see, and they're supposed to be painting it later today, so we'll probably get a better look at this later today. And then the pikes, we have like pike leaders. We got pike leaders and then pike dudes, and so we've got some redacted stuff up here. Now they don't want to show us the top symbol because that's part of the more stuff that they're going to have spoilers for. Apparently, there's going to be multiple symbols up there on like, and I think they kind of screwed this one up because we kind of know what the symbol is up there because it's on one of the next cards. Like it shows up somewhere else that I think they forgot to redact. So. Like oopsie, but apparently there's certain factions that this guys can work for, but not necessarily everybody. So I believe right now it's like Separatists and Empire can include the pikes, and I don't know if that'll be the same thing for everybody. It would be all of these. None of these guys seem like they would work for. Like they would work for the rebels, so like it's gonna be tough. Like, and maybe the Mandos can work for the rebels. You might have to paint them differently. I don't know if the rebels would, but like I could see that being a thing. But they're gonna be doing battle groups. Oh, I'm gonna talk about battle groups. This is exciting. This is super exciting. I'm super. Let me know in chat if you like what battle groups you guys want to see, because it goes back to the whole sub faction thing. And this is it. This is sub factions, right? Battle groups are sub factions for sure. But no, the pike foot soldiers look good. They have they redacted. I made a joke in chat about like it's obviously danger sense 2, and they even clarified that it's danger sense 2. But like wait, what's the jur sense 2? Is that Roger sense 2? Can they sense if droids are nearby? Roger, you know, haha. It's just my dad joke humor. So you're gonna have 4 dudes in here. They did also cut off the point cost, but we can kind of. I imagine they're going to cost similar to what a core is going to cost, somewhere between 40 and 50, based on like based on like some of the stuff that they have. They have a black dice and range 1 to 3 for their PI or P13 long blaster. It looks like Pi long blaster. So I feel like I want to, like if I was really good, I'd get like a little pie stand and get like pies and confectioners and stuff and kind of paint these guys up and mod them to look like they're shooting pies, and that's like it's the pike pie factory. Or the pie factory. Get it? I don't know. Dad jokes, man. I got lots of dad jokes. Anyway, no, because it looks like pie long blaster, right? And then they have the stunned baton. So their melee is pretty good. They got an extra die for every dude in melee. That's significant. I didn't expect 2 dice on a core for melee. That's good. They have, of course, heavy and personnel and equipment and grenades. Grenades are going to be nice here because they have... no offensive surge, so you put some frag grenades on these guys, and now all of a sudden they have black dice, kind of like rebels. Like they kind of have rebel troopers ranged attack and rebel troopers stats, but better melee. So they're better than rebel troopers. They have outmaneuver, which makes their dodge a little better. It's, again, kind of similar to rebel troopers. White defense die, 1 health, 1 courage. But they have self-preservation. Danger sense 2 is just really a good keyword. Really a good keyword. It's gonna be harder to kill these guys. Outmaneuver is good. Self-preservation is the only problem here, because now all of a sudden they can't panic, right? So if you could run these guys with rebels, then Jin would be a really good commander, which is kind of interesting that we're doing Jin previews. Are they showing most of the units or just HQs? This is the first unit card that we've seen from the new stuff. They did all show us some renders. They showed us the Persuader tank and its guns, and also the infantry support platform and its stuff. I've already run through most of that. It's if you can rewind if you want. That's the beauty of YouTube. So if you can go back and catch that stuff, or you can wait for after the stream over and it'll instantly be on demand. So then you can just rewind and watch it again there too. So we did get all of those cards. I'm sure they're going to have a lot of this stuff up on social media soon. I'll also be including this stuff with kind of a recap video as well. But we got to look at the heavies here. So I think there was definitely some miscommunication on the disruptor soldier. How he's 1 to 4, he has impact 1, so he doesn't have immobilize or suppressive. They were looking at these keywords on the electro whip soldier and applying them to this guy. They actually used this guy's dice and the immobilize and suppressive. So when I was saying, hey, the disruptor has 2 red, immobilize and suppressive, all of this stuff, because they were using new stuff, they didn't let them have the unit cards on the table, so I think they were having to like remember what was on the unit cards, and again, so that's not a criticism of the AMG folks, because like they're like, if you had to play without being able to see any of your unit cards, you would get some of the things wrong too, especially when it's brand new stuff. So but yeah, so range 4, that's a good weapon. It's not range 1 to 4, 3 extra dice. Like, I think the pikes are going to be good. This seems like they're going to be a little on the expensive side. Our foot soldier is going to be 9. So an extra mini is only 9 points, too. That's not half bad. And they get a free aim. Oh my gosh, that's so good. It's so cool. I love that cool keyword. So this is all Luke Eddy's work. Luke Eddy designed all of this stuff, and he did a great job with it. AMG was like saying, like, and they were pretty kind of clear. Like, they obviously are not going to talk about Luke Eddy. They're not going to mention specific people by name. And I definitely get that feeling that I think they really have bad blood with Luke Eddy. I don't know what happened or why him and the other FFG people were let go, why John Schaefer was let go. They won't mention these people by name. And they keep reinforcing this whole, like, I want to retire and pass this game off to the next crew. I want to retire and pass this game off to the next crew. They keep saying that anytime they talk about Star Wars games. And I don't think that that's a coincidence, because, I mean, technically they say that Will has said that about Marvel now too, but he's only been saying that ever since FFG people have been started to get let go. So it's kind of like, ooh, I feel like that's directly related to like the FFG attitude. It's like, wait, what are you trying to do to our game? And then all of a sudden they're like, no, you need to make it to where it can be let go to the next person. Or maybe they just feel like the license is in flux right now, and maybe these games, just the same way they went from FFG to AMG, might go somewhere else someday soon. So who knows, but like he says that so many times, it sounds really weird, because it's like it doesn't mesh with the rest of the conversation. Like, there's nothing about him. He's way too young to retire. He's just started with these games. So why he's always saying, I need to be able to retire and pass this off to the next crew. Like, why do you keep saying that, if not as a hint? Like, I feel like there's like a wink coming with all that, because he says it all the time. It doesn't factor into the greater discussion. Like, it's not anecdotal to anything else that's going on. So that's just strange. But anyway, these guys look pretty good. The leader is going to be a little more expensive. He is increasing the courage value by 1, which is going to be very important, especially if you're running them by themselves, because they can panic so very easily, because they don't get to use that commander's courage value unless it happens to be a commander of their same subfaction, which is going to make them harder to use, right? There's definitely a risk versus reward with these guys because of that self-preservation. Man, having them panic. So you're going to need Inspire. Inspire is going to be more important now than ever. Like, this is such an interesting unit. It's so very, very interesting. I can't imagine how long it took to get this balanced. And I'm really curious as of the cost, too, because when we see only like 19 and 16 points for these guys, or 9 and 16 points for these guys, I'm like, that's actually pretty reasonable. So is this going to be like a 42-point unit or something like that? Like if it's 9 per mini, 9 times 4 would be 36, but then you're paying for, I don't know. I don't know what these guys are going to cost. I'm guessing with all those keywords, I want to say somewhere closer to 50, but I don't know. I got to do some math and figure out what is the Rebel and Empire stuff. It's just all different. We got the Capo, so this is going to be their leader. So this is going to make them a lot more playable. If you run the Capo, all of a sudden now they can use his courage value. Now 2 won't make them panic. It'll take 4 to make them panic, and that's a lot better. And of course we have you can see that symbol, right? This is the pike symbol right here. That's the pike symbol, and that's one of the things that they've been redacting, but they didn't catch it right there. So he's going to be, it's a new keyword basically. When he would gain an aim, dodge, or surge token, another friendly pike unit at range 1 and in line of sight may gain that token instead. So there you go. So yeah, so like this is really interesting stuff. Danger Sense 2. Danger Sense is such a good keyword, and a lot of people probably say, oh well, white defense dice with defensive search and Danger Sense gives you a lot of flexibility. And so I think if you're running pikes, I think you've got to have the Capo. Him making sure that your pikes, which want suppression but will easily panic with it, like, you gotta take him. So I think you might even see the basic pikes be kind of cheap because they're so likely to run away that he ends up being expensive to balance them. Like, all right, they're cheap, but if you bring in the boss is what makes it expensive, because he makes the whole thing work really well. That's what I guess. Danger Sense 2. Independent dodge. Look, like, independent's a good keyword. If you don't have to worry about giving out orders. It's like the opposite of AI. He's gonna have command and equipment, 4 health, 2 courage. It's not he can die fairly easy. You got to keep him safe. He can hand out his tokens to other people. He's just groovy, man. Like, I can't wait to run. Like, pikes look really fun, and I don't care about the pikes. Like, in the canon, like, they're like one of my least favorite organizations in Star Wars. Like, I could really take them or leave them, but this is designed so well. I can't wait to see the rest of this stuff. I can't wait to see Black Sun and the Mandos and all of that stuff. Swoops are coming also. This is something, I think they wanted to kind of showcase these, because I think this was also part of the transition, but I don't think that this is coming in that core box. They didn't really specify. We got a super chat from Gundam. What's going on, Gundam? Appreciate it. He says, dude, I'm going to retire and pass this on. Is that a statement also including Armada? Oh man, that's a really good, dude. That's a really good statement, right? Like, yeah. How are you gonna do the same thing with Armada, Will Schick? Like, that's, dude, you get a mini crab for that, man. That's, there's a mini crab. He appreciates the sentiment because, all right, that's enough, dude. Goodbye. All right. But yeah, like with him constantly talking about having to like retire and wanting to make sure that these games are ready to be passed on to the next, whoever. How does that work for? Is that for all of your games or only the games you pick and choose? Right. So that's a good point. Have they announced a release date for the new collective? No. But it's definitely gonna be next year. I'm thinking. Well, we have a couple of dates. A lot of stuff has been mentioned to be aiming for Q1 of next year. So I guess we're going to have to see. My guess is it'll probably be like an Adepticon release. That's just because you can't count on anything. If there were no shipping delays, then it'd be a lot easier to nail that stuff down. But anything for Q1 is probably going to be Q2. That's my guess. And then Boba is the first AMG Legion thing that they have fully designed. So this is So when Boba Fett comes out, if he is broken, or if he's not competitive, or if he's OP or whatever, you can totally blame AMG. He is apparently the new Boba will be a rebel, which is very strange because I'm like, wait a sec, maybe they misspoke. Maybe he's actually going to be a mercenary that can work with the rebels, like because all these mercenaries have different. Like, hey, you can work here, you can work here. Maybe he'll be a merc that can work with the rebels. But either way, with battle groups, that totally changes everything. So battle groups is going to be kind of a new sub-faction thing. Let me see. How many more images do we have to get through? Because there's... I think that's it. And the last is just I have a picture of Darth Maul here because they're going to be painting him a little bit later. I'm going to kind of let this sort of wrap up soon because there are going to be more streams. And there's going to be more things to get to. But whew, man, we got a lot more stuff to talk about. I don't even know when is the next stream. They're doing painting right now.
A black brush.
Oh, okay. Oops. Yeah, they're painting some of the new Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff. Anyway, I'm going to kind of wrap this up. But all right, so battle groups are basically the new sub-faction thing, and they have talked about a couple of different battle groups. There are going to be... let's see. Let me pull up my notes here. Oh man, there's so much stuff they talked about too. The big thing is they're going to be doing battle groups for Ewoks. They're going to be doing battle groups for. Let's see. I wrote all this stuff down. Where did I write battle groups? Did I scroll down? Did I not write down battle groups? Was I that? No points balance. Vader. All right, so I got Vader's got the points balance. Global. It looks like the Galactic Civil War will have most of the stuff overhauled with points. It's not going to be. They're not going to do a core rules over adjust. The big thing is that they are going to be doing 4 of each of the battle cards instead of just 3. So that's one of the things they're looking at doing is basically at the beginning of the game of Legion, you lay out your battle cards and you pick, and they want to have more choices in there. So that seems reasonable at first. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But that doesn't seem like that's going to really break the game. That seems like it's a minor change, and that sounds great. I don't know. Wow, I did not write down anything on the battle groups. I guess I'll have to go back through. But yeah, they did talk about having multiple different new. Oh, here it is. I wrote it down on a different. I have to scroll in my notes because I took so many notes. Oh yeah, they're doing Hoth battle forces. Yeah, that's the next battle groups. So we're going to see Hoth specific armies with unique command cards that only they can take, and that's cool because you've got so much stuff. So there might be some reason to make a specific Hoth list, and the same thing goes for the Blizzard force of the Empire, and that means basically we're going to be getting. I think it means AT-ATs are more likely now than ever. So that is super exciting to me, and so those are coming. Let's see. They're also going to be doing some for the Clone Wars factions. The 501st will be getting their own battle group, and the Droid Invasion Force will be getting their own battle forces, not battle groups. But yeah, but the Shadow Collective will also be a battle force, and that's the only way that you can run Maul. I think they kind of strongly suggested that the super commandos, the Mando super commandos, will run along Maul with that with the Shadow Collective. But yeah, Blizzard Force and Echo Base Defenders are both going to be basically the first new battle groups for the Rebels and the battle forces for the Rebels and the Empire. So and there's already so much for those already. You can kind of already build a list that's designed to kind of do that, especially with Vader getting his overhaul too. Like that's going to be awesome. So very cool. We got another super chat from Gundam. What's going on, buddy? Thank you for this for the support. Are we letting cannon fodder into the game now? Ewoks? Oh, dude, Ewoks are definitely coming. I'm super excited about that. I should say I'm moderately excited about it. I'm more excited about it because what it represents. I really want to see Gungans show up. That's my number one thing, maybe behind at AT-AT. But Gungans I just think would look beautiful. I can't wait to see Gungans in the game. But Ewoks are going to be funny. Were there any Armada mentions? Not in this particular stream because this was a Legion stream. I mentioned Armada in the chat at least once, but I mean, Armada has been mentioned during this whole weekend-long event. It's been mentioned a couple of times. It's been included. There will be an Armada presence at Worlds. They're also going to be doing Legion, and they're going to still do not Worlds, I should say, at Adepticon. Next Adepticon they're going to feature tournaments and stuff for all three games. So you're going to have X-Wing, Armada, and Legion tournaments at Adepticon. They're also going to have narrative events. So AMG will be at Adepticon supporting all three games. That includes Armada. And of course Armada was included with the the bounty hunter kind of list thing, the event that is going on this weekend. But you can do a Shadow Collective only list. That's correct. The pikes and the Ahsoka is the other big thing. Ahsoka is another real big thing. She was basically confirmed. Soft confirmed is what we're calling it. It's what I'm calling it. They kind of hinted about her, and there was a lot of stuff in the chat. And Will Schick said, "Look, I can see what you guys are typing in the chat, and we're right there with you." Like he couldn't say it. Like he was licensing, or Lucasfilm wouldn't allow him to say Ahsoka just yet. But he was right there with us. So it's just, I mean, look, that's cool. We all knew Ahsoka's going to show up in this game. She's number one most wanted character, right? Easily. So of course she's going to show up. She's the main character of the Clone Wars. So of course she's going to show up. So, is Bosk going to be dual faction as well? Yes, he is. All of the bounty hunters are going to also have new cards so Boba Fett, Cad Bane, and Bosk are all going to have new cards that come in this new starter. Let me scroll back. So this is basically the box art for the all new starter that we're going to be getting. So it's a new... Oh man, and so there's so much stuff they can do here, and of course this is kind of what they did with X-Wing when they came out with the Scum faction. Initially, they also said, "Oh, by the way, to make it even more robust, here you can also use Boba Fett. Here you can also use all these other things that already exist in here." So this is going to be really fun, man. This is They actually confirmed her. Ahsoka confirmed during the commotion of the last 4 seconds. Yeah, look, it was definitely confirmed. We got a super chat from Justin. What's going on? Schick said Ahsoka confirmed at the end. I was probably turning it off, and I probably didn't even hear that. I'll scroll back. So thank you for the super chats. Thank you for supporting the channel too, by the way. I appreciate that. But yes, Ahsoka is definitely coming. The only thing we don't know is, since they really can't officially talk about her yet, we don't know what wave she's going to be in, if she's going to be in part of this wave, if she was a Fantasy Flight, if she was a Luke Eddy design, or if she is part of the AMG specific stuff. So I guess we will have to wait. I don't know, but as long as I'm sure she's going to have a good sculpt. I think the way to find out is if she's on a rock, right? Because if you notice, most of these are standing flat. I know that Maul is on a piece, right? But most of these minis are standing on flat ground. But then when they get to the first thing that AMG designed, he's on multiple rocks. So Boba is definitely an AMG design with the tactical rocks that he's standing on. So there you go. I'm curious if AMG is going to put everything they do now on tactical rocks. Let's see. So another thing about Maul is and then I'm going to end on this. They talked about how you can have him both with the Darksaber and the regular or the double-bladed, which is pretty cool. And they talked about the weapons that you give him have something to do with his role. So I'm thinking basically with his new version of Maul, if you give him the double-bladed, he's operative. If you give him the Darksaber, he's a commander. I think that's basically how this is going to work. Maul, if you give him the Darksaber, he's uniting. He can basically lead the Mandos only if he has the Darksaber. I think that's kind of how it looks. What's going on, everybody? If you are in chat, we are going to kind of wrap this up, take a little break before the next stream. There's a droid painting stream. I don't know if that one's going to be particularly consequential, but we'll tune in for it. We'll watch it. We'll hang out, have a good time. And then they're painting Maul later on. I'm interested in that one to see how it's going to be. And then that'll kind of wrap up this weekend, and then there'll be some stuff coming on later, and I'll eventually summarize all of this. There's a lot here. Let's catch our breath, go to the bathroom, all that other stuff. All right, I will talk to you guys later. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Big thanks to my patrons. I'll be putting those promos up on Discord, so check the links, join the Discord. I'll see you guys.